Making the Baseball Hall of Fame requires a sustained career of top performance. Some players start off their MLB careers putting up great seasons and seem like a lock for the Hall of Fame. In this video, I break down the players who seemed like they were on their way to a Hall of Fame career only to fall short. These are my 8 picks. Let's begin. Number 8, Francisco Rodríguez, aka K-Rod. My first time seeing him pitch was in the playoffs in 2002. Rodríguez threw only 5 2/3 innings in his rookie call-up, but the Angels saw enough in him to add him to the playoff roster. He was mostly used in middle relief or as a setup man behind Angels closer at the time, Troy Percival. In that postseason, Rodríguez threw 18 2/3 innings with 28 strikeouts and only 5 walks. He was the winning pitcher in 5 of the Angels' 11 postseason wins, as they would win the 2002 World Series. Rodríguez would remain the Angels' setup man for 2 more seasons before becoming the closer in 2005. That season, K-Rod would pick up 45 saves with over 12 Ks per 9 in 66 appearances. He'd save 47 in 2006 and 40 in 2007 before setting a new single-season saves record in 2008 with 62. This surpassed Bobby Thigpen's 57 save season from 1990. Unfortunately, Rodríguez's strikeouts per 9 dropped from 12 to just over 10 per 9 innings pitched. His average fastball dropped from 94.3 to 92.6, which at age 26 could point to arm fatigue. That season, Rodríguez had appeared in 76 games. During the 2008 season, Rodríguez signed a 3-year deal with the Mets. He saved 35 games, but had an ERA of 3.71, the highest of his career. He was traded to the Brewers partway through the 2011 season and ended the year with 23 saves. At the end of the 2011 season, he was 29 and had 291 saves, which were the most all-time by a 29-year-old, until Craig Kimbrell tied it in 2017. K-Rod's F-WAR was 15.4, which was 3rd all-time for a closer at that time, behind only Bruce Sutter and Rich Gossage. This would mark the peak for Rodríguez. Over his next 6 seasons, he'd put up only 0.9 F-WAR. And although he did average 42 saves per season between 2014 and 2016, in 2017 at the age of 35, he'd save only 7 games, posting an ERA of 7.82 and a negative 0.7 WAR. He was released on June 23rd and never made it back to the major leagues. For a long time, K-Rod kept looking like he could threaten Mariano Rivera's all-time save record, but in the end he fell quite a bit short. His 437 saves are 6th all-time, having been passed by Craig Kimbrell and Kenley Jansen since he retired. K-Rod received just 10.8% of the required 75% Hall of Fame votes in his first year of eligibility in 2023, and that number has been lower in the past 2 seasons. Number 7, José Reyes. Reyes began his MLB career on June 10, 2003, and hit .307 in 69 games played. In 2004, Reyes missed 99 games while dealing with a hamstring injury, and then a stress fracture injury. In 2005, he was finally healthy, stealing 60 bases as the Mets' everyday leadoff hitter. In 2006, Reyes finally broke out. He hit .300 with 19 home runs, 122 runs, 81 RBIs, and 64 stolen bases. He was selected as a reserve for his first All-Star game. Reyes won the Silver Slugger as the best hitting shortstop in the National League and finished 7th in MVP voting. In 2007, Reyes led the NL in stolen bases for the 3rd straight year, this time with 78, though he was also caught stealing a league-leading 21 times. He was an All-Star again. In 2008, he led the NL in hits. In 2011, he won the NL batting title, hitting .337. That offseason, Reyes signed a 6-year deal with the Miami Marlins, played 1 season there before being traded in a blockbuster deal to the Toronto Blue Jays. Reyes was solid in 2 seasons in Toronto, but was eventually traded to the Colorado Rockies for Troy Tulowitzki. By the end of his age 31 season, Reyes had the most stolen bases by a shortstop since 1900 with 455. His 973 runs scored were 9th among shortstops, ahead of Hall of Famers Alan Trammell, Barry Larkin, and Ozzie Smith. Reyes' 40.6 F-WAR was just below Barry Larkin's 40.8 and ahead of Ozzie Smith's 30.1. At age 31, Reyes was well within a Hall of Fame trajectory. 2015 would be Reyes' worst full season. His WRC plus of 80 was his first below 100 in 9 seasons. His 0.7 F-WAR was his lowest in a season where he played at least 100 games. 2016 and 17, he was back on the Mets and put up 1.3 and 1.5 WAR seasons, a far cry from the 5.7 to 5.9 seasons he had put up in his first stint with the Mets. In 2018, at the age of 35, he put up a WRC plus of only 61 with a negative 0.2 WAR, often being used as a pinch hitter. Reyes finished his career with 517 stolen bases and a 43.9 F-WAR and had a really great career. Reyes missed over 400 games due to injury in his career, and without the wear and tear from those injuries, maybe would have been a Hall of Fame consideration. In 2024, he received 0 votes and was removed from any future ballots. Number 6, Don Mattingly. Although I see a lot of people mentioning Mattingly as a Hall of Fame snub, I don't think he did enough to get in. By the traditional Hall metrics, his 2,153 hits and 222 home runs fall short, especially for a first baseman. His 40.7 F-WAR is lower than all current Hall of Fame first basemen except Jim Bottomley and George Kelly, who both retired in the 1930s. In his prime, Donnie Baseball was well on his way to becoming a Hall of Famer. He had his breakout year in 1984 when he led the league in hits with 207, doubles with 44, and won a batting title with a .343 average. He was selected to his first of 6 All-Star games and finished 5th in MVP voting for the American League. The following season, Mattingly was even better, leading the league in doubles again with 48 and led also in RBIs with 145. He also led in total bases with 370 and won the AL MVP, a Silver Slugger, and his first Gold Glove, an award he'd go on to win 9 times in his career. The next year, in 1986, Mattingly again led the league in hits and doubles with 238 and 53, led in slugging, OPS, and total bases, finishing as the runner-up MVP to Roger Clemens. He picked up another Gold Glove and the second of his 3 career Silver Sluggers. After his year 26 season, Mattingly had put up a 24.9 career F-WAR, which put him ahead of 15 Hall of Famers at that time. After his year 28 season, his 31.9 WAR was still ahead of 13 current or eventual Hall of Famers. The 1990 season marked the beginning of the decline. Mattingly missed 60 games, the most of his career. He hit only .256 with only a 72 WRC plus or a negative 0.2 F-WAR. He would bounce back in 1991 for the first of 4 respectable seasons. However, he was no longer slugging in the high 500s anymore and instead barely slugged over 410. His WRC plus was between 99 and 118, above average, but a good-sized drop from his prime of 151 to 160. Mattingly hit only 53 home runs in his final 5 seasons and averaged only 68 RBIs per year over that span. This was a big drop from his best 4 years, where he had no less than 110 RBIs per year. He did win 4 Gold Gloves in his final 5 seasons, but at the end of his age 34 season, he retired. By WRC+, Mattingly is tied for 96th among MLB first basemen. By F4, he's 61st all-time. That means there are 30 first basemen not currently in the Hall who ranked higher. And while that does include players like Jason Giambi and Rafael Palmeiro, who wouldn't be considered because of their steroid use, and future Hall of Famers like Freddie Freeman, to me, there are simply too many non-Hall of Famers ahead of Mattingly for him to get in. If it wasn't for his nagging back injuries, maybe he would have been in. Number 5, Nomar Garciaparra. After making his MLB debut in 1996 at the age of 22, Garciaparra's first full season in 1997 was nothing short of impressive. The shortstop hit 30 home runs, scored 122 times, drove in 98, and stole 22 bases. He had a WRC plus of 122 and an F-WAR of 6.4. His 209 hits and 11 triples both led the league on the way to winning Rookie of the Year honors, a Silver Slugger, and an All-Star selection. Garciaparra was even better the next year in 1998, hitting 35 home runs, driving in 122, and scoring 111 times. He finished second in MVP voting, but wasn't even an All-Star. In 1999 and 2000, Garciaparra won back-to-back batting titles, hitting .357 and .372, and slugged .603 and .599. In 2001, Garciaparra suffered a wrist injury and played in only 21 games. After his age 26 season in 2000, Garciaparra's F-WAR of 27.5 was 4.5 higher than Derek Jeter's 23. His .573 slugging is also the fourth highest of all time by that age for a shortstop. In 2002 and 2003, Garciaparra seemed to be back to his old form, hitting over 300 both years, scoring over 100 times, and driving in over 100 runners both years as well. He seemed to be back on his Hall of Fame trajectory, still 1.9 wins above Jeter despite missing nearly a full season. He put up the higher WAR in almost 300 fewer games played too, further showcasing his value when healthy. To put it in perspective, Garciaparra's 38.5 F-WAR was 19th for a 29-year-old shortstop, but his 928 games played ranks only 131st. In 2004, Garciaparra missed the first 57 games with severe Achilles tendonitis and was quickly traded to the Chicago Cubs at the trade deadline because Boston believed his body was breaking down. In April 2005, Garciaparra suffered a ruptured left groin tendon, causing him to miss 100 games. In 2006, he was still a decent major leaguer with a 122 WRC plus for the Dodgers and a 2 WAR. In 2007, that plummeted to 82 for a -1 WAR. His year 34 and 35 seasons in 2008 and 2009 were similarly disappointing, and he retired. In 2015, he received 30 Hall of Fame votes, but only 8 in 2016 and was removed from the ballot. If it weren't for a series of unfortunate injuries, Garciaparra could have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Number 4. Johan Santana. Between 2004 and 2008, Johan Santana's 5-year run was arguably the best in Major League Baseball. He won the Cy Young in 2004 and 2006, finished 3rd in Cy Young voting in 2005 and 2008, and was 5th in voting in 2007. During that span, Santana won 3 ERA titles, led the league in innings pitched twice, strikeouts 3 times, FIP 3 times, WHIP 4 times, hits per 9 3 times, and Ks per 9 3 times. Over those 5 seasons, his 86 wins were tied for the most in Major League Baseball with Roy Oswalt. Santana also had the lowest ERA of any pitcher with more than 900 innings pitched, and the second lowest FIP. His WAR was also the highest. 2009 and 10 were still good years, but his average fastball dropped a couple miles. Johan's age 28 numbers were ahead of several Hall of Famers. His 31.7 F-WAR was ahead of Mike Mussina, John Smoltz, Nolan Ryan, Roy Halladay, and Tom Glavine, to name a few. Santana's 93 wins were ahead of Smoltz, Jack Morris, Halladay, Bob Gibson, Lefty Grove, and Warren Spahn, and a large list of other Hall of Famers. By age 30, many of these pitchers passed Santana in wins, WAR, and other metrics, but he was still on pace for a legitimate Hall of Fame career. On September 14, 2010, Santana underwent surgery to repair the anterior capsule in his left shoulder. That's a major structural ligament complex that stabilizes the shoulder joint. He would miss the entire 2011 season, throwing 5 innings in A-ball before shutting down for the year. Johan resumed his MLB career in 2012 at age 33, but his fastball was now under 90 miles an hour, his ERA ballooned to almost 5, which is almost 2 full runs higher than his ERA during his prime. Santana did throw the first no-hitter in Mets history in 2012, but in March of 2013, he retore his left shoulder capsule and missed all of 2013. In June of 2014, he ruptured his Achilles tendon, effectively ending his MLB career. Santana would receive only 10 Hall of Fame votes in 2018, which removed him from any future ballots. Number 3. Andrew McCutchen. Although McCutchen is the only active player on this list, I think he fits the category well. McCutchen's 5-year prime of 2011 to 2015 was Hall of Fame level. During that span, he was 2nd in MLB in F-WAR, only behind Mike Trout, 4th in runs scored, 13th in RBIs, 11th in batting average, 4th in on-base percentage, and 5th in WRC+. By the end of his age 28 season, he had won his 4th consecutive Silver Slugger, won an MVP in 2013, finished 3rd in MVP voting twice, in 2012 and 2014, and had a 5th place finish in 2015. He won a Gold Glove in 2012 and had appeared in 5 straight All-Star games. His 41 F-WAR for a 28-year-old was higher than Hall of Famers like Tim Raines, Frank Thomas, Reggie Jackson, Eddie Murray, Chipper Jones, and Vladimir Guerrero Sr. His 144 WRC Plus was tied with sluggers like Ken Griffey Jr., Albert Bell, and higher than Guerrero, Jones, and Todd Helton. His .388 on-base percentage was just below Derek Jeter and Tony Gwynn's .389, and ahead of Griffey, Scott Rowland, and Roberto Alomar. The fact that McCutchen could be ahead of any of these great players is a testament to how good McCutchen's prime was. And unlike many of the players on this list, McCutchen didn't really fall off from injuries or start playing badly. Granted, 2016 he went from a 6.0 F4 to 0.9, and his WRC Plus dropped from 144 to 105, but the 3 following years are back over 120. In 2019, McCutchen missed over 100 games with a torn left ACL. He played in 57 of 60 games in 2020 and 144 in 2021, and has averaged 129 games a year since 2021. His F4 has been under 1 on average during those 5 years, totaling only 3.8. This number would have been a disappointing season during his prime, let alone the sum of 5 seasons. His career F4 sits at 52.3, which is only 2.3 lower than Vlad Guerrero Sr., who I think is a fringe Hall of Famer at best. Whether McCutchen signs somewhere else this offseason or not, I think his career was a couple more good seasons short of being a bona fide Hall of Fame career. Number 2, David Wright. Wright was called up by the Mets at the age of 21, a season where he'd play 69 games, hitting .293 and slugging .525. Over the next 4 seasons, Wright was incredibly durable, missing only 14 games, which was third most in all of baseball behind only Ichiro Suzuki and Grady Sizemore. During that span, Wright made 3 of his 7 All-Star appearances and won 2 Gold Gloves and 2 Silver Sluggers. His F4 was 4th in MLB behind only Albert Pujols, Chase Utley, and Sizemore. His WRC Plus was 10th, and he was 10th in RBIs and 11th in runs. After his age 25 season, his F4 was 5th highest by a third baseman, ahead of Adrian Beltre and George Brett. 2009 and 10, Wright's offense dropped from WRC Plus numbers in the 140s to the 120s, but he was still quite good. In 2011, a lower back stress fracture kept Wright out of the lineup for over 2 months. His F4 of 1.7 was the lowest of his career. However, in 2012, he seemed back to his old form as he hit .306 with a .391 on-base percentage and .492 slugging. He had the 3rd highest WAR for a third baseman in all of MLB. In 2013, Wright again was putting up great numbers until he suffered a grade 3 hamstring strain versus the Kansas City Royals. The injury kept him out of baseball for 7 weeks, but he returned in mid-September. After his year 30 season, Wright's F4 of 48.7 put him ahead of Hall of Famers like Brooks Robinson, Chipper Jones, and Adrian Beltre. His 137 WRC Plus is ahead of 63% of current Hall of Fame position players. 2014 was the turning point. Wright injured his left shoulder late in the season on a slide. Then he was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which is a chronic narrowing of the spinal canal that can pinch nerves. Its side effects are back spasms, leg numbness, inability to rotate, and loss of explosive movement. All of these abilities are key to a baseball player's career. In 2015, Wright missed over 120 games. 2016 piled on as a herniated disc in Wright's neck required surgery and ended his season in May. Another 120 games lost. Shoulder issues kept him out of baseball for all of 2017, and after just 3 plate appearances in 2018, Wright called it a career at age 35. If Wright had been able to keep even a bit healthy during the last few years, he likely would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Instead, he's getting just above the 5% voting threshold to stay on the voting list for the Hall. And number 1, Félix Hernández. Hernández made his MLB debut in 2005 when he was only 19 years old. He made an impact right away, posting an ERA and FIP below 3 in 84 1/3 innings pitched. His first 3 full seasons were solid, but it wasn't until the 2009 season that Hernández became a true superstar. He went 19-5 with a 2.49 ERA and finished second to Zach Greinke in AL Cy Young voting. In 2010, he'd win the Cy with an even better 2.27 ERA, which led the American League. Hernández would continue to post good seasons, earning the nickname King Felix from Seattle Mariners fans. Unfortunately, the career workload of King Felix seemed to be catching up to him. After his age 29 season, he had thrown 2,262 1/3 innings over 327 more than second on the list, Clayton Kershaw. He had 27 more starts than anyone else, basically a full extra season of work. His average fastball was 3 miles an hour slower. In 2015, the first-year StatCast has numbers for Hernandez. His breaking run value was better than 98% of pitchers still, and his off-speed run value was better than 93% of pitchers. By 2017, the breaking run value was only better than 57%, and the off-speed run value was in the bottom 10%. After his year 29 season, King Felix had the 10th highest F4 in MLB, above Greg Maddux, Bob Feller, Sandy Koufax, Tom Seaver, and the 4th most strikeouts by a 29-year-old, 57 ahead of all-time leader Nolan Ryan. Felix had thrown 327 1/3 more innings than Nolan, despite the fact that Ryan had averaged over 285 innings pitched between his age 26 to 29 year seasons. The wear and tear clearly took a toll, as Hernandez put up only a 0.5 F4 from ages 31 to 33 to finish with 54. Granted, that is just below a few Hall of Famers. Sandy Koufax has 54.5, Whitey Ford 54.9, Jack Morris 55.8, and Jim Palmer's at 56.6, to name a few. I think Hernandez has a better prime than all but Sandy Koufax on that list. Hernandez got 20% of the Hall votes in 2025, his first year of eligibility. It's pretty far off, and with only 169 wins and 2,500 strikeouts, he doesn't have the obvious numbers that Hall of Fame voters like to see. Maybe he'll get in via the Era Committee someday, which I'd be fine with, as King Felix was one of the greats in my book. Anyway, that's my list. What do you think? Is there someone you think had a near Hall of Fame career that I missed? Let me know in the comments.